Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Inspire Career Spotlight on Careers, the video podcast series where I interview experts from all over the career management space to bring you best-in-class career information to help you advance in your careers. And I am absolutely delighted today to share my friend and one of my business coaches with you. Her name is Jada Willis. Hey, Jada.
Hi there. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
Hey, guess what? I've heard from a dear friend. I've never met a friend I didn't like.
That would be me. We're recording on a Friday. I don't know what day you guys are all listening to this, but we're recording on a Friday and our energy is like off the chart. So I hope you're feeling it and I hope it motivates you as well. But before I really start presenting Jada, I want to introduce her to you because she's got really an amazing background. And it's important because I really want you to learn from her today. And I'm excited that she's agreed to share her time with us. So let me talk to you a little bit about her, okay? Jada Willis is a CEO mentor and a strategic advisor to me and to many other really advancing high-powered women. So let me just read her bio a little bit for you so you get a better sense of her. As a trusted advisor to CEOs, Jada Willis specializes in bringing business clarity to high-stakes decision-making, and I can speak to that firsthand. She is a CEO mentor, and we're going to talk about the difference between a CEO mentor and a coach, too, that provides practical strategic action planning, executive development, and workforce and capacity solutions. In 2022, Jada achieved a significant milestone by successfully selling a thriving seven-figure HR consulting firm, which she painstakingly built by herself all the way from the ground up. Drawing on 18 years of progressive experience within Fortune 100 organizations and small businesses, she honed her skills in HR and leadership, making her an invaluable resource for executives seeking to drive meaningful change in their own organizations. Beyond her professional achievements, Jada's true passion lies in advancing the lives of the working poor. She serves as the board chair for Harvest Hope Food Bank, leveraging her expertise to address food insecurity in South Carolina. Additionally, Jada is a member of the Board of Trustees for Columbia College and a board member for Automotive Service Assistance, where she contributes her insights to furthering the missions of those organizations. As a published author, national speaker, and entrepreneur, Jada embodies the spirit of innovation. She's recognized for her ability to push boundaries and think outside the box, leveraging her creativity and resourcefulness to tackle the most pressing challenges facing nonprofits, small businesses, and I'm going to say women leaders alike. Welcome, Jada Willis.
Oh, thank you so much. You've done a great job. I think I need to take you on the road with me to be my MC. So thank you so much for having me.
But that does not even cover my adoration of you and my appreciation for you, which we'll get into as we get here. But let's talk a little bit. Let's kind of start from the beginning because this is all about careers. This is about inspiring people, helping them understand what's happening out in the world of careers, but getting inspiration from the journey of others. And you and I met because of our HR connection. So why don't we start there? Let's talk a little bit about Willis HR and your podcast and how we met. But tell us a little bit about that and how that took you on the journey of building that business, selling it, and starting Willis Consulting.
Yeah, that's a great question. So ultimately, I did have several years in HR leadership at larger entities, Fortune 50, Fortune 100 organizations. But I'm from a really small town in Pennsylvania. And so my roots are really in small business and, family having small businesses and that sort of thing. And so I realized that I wanted to build my skills, but I knew that I wanted to apply it to a group that really needs HR services, and that would be the small business owners and entrepreneurs and nonprofits. And so in 2016, I took the leap and I left my full-time HR executive position, and I went all into building Willis HR. So I know that we mentioned in the introduction that I built the business myself. And so yes, I was the sole owner of Willis HR, and I definitely was the one that celebrated the highs and cried at night throughout the years in building this business. But I will tell you, I've come to realize that we really aren't ever doing anything alone. It's the people around us, it's the team, it's the connections. And so I would have not built that business to being the seven-figure success, that it was without having the support of my team, which I actually still leverage today. So I focused on outsourcing HR services, but I really focused on those small business owners, less than 50 employees, and nonprofits. And that was our absolute sweet spot. We got to over 6 different states that we were supporting and having clients. And I learned so much in that process. But there's also a time where every leader needs to kind of have that inner shakedown and realize, is this serving me? And am I the best to continue on this particular path? Like it's okay to pivot. It's okay that you build a dream and you work on that dream, and it's okay to have other dreams. And so with that being the case, I decided that, I took some time in Colorado, and I had an inner shakedown with myself. And I realized, man, we won best HR company in South Carolina 2 years in a row. We had 100% growth year over year for 3 years. And in the outside, it looked like, wow, you're living the dream. You have it all together. And by the way, we had awesome clients, awesome team members, all that good stuff. But I also realized there was something more that I wanted to do and a little bit different. And so what I decided to do was start, seeking out my broker, and decided to sell the organization. And that was a huge endeavor, but also huge for me because it was deciding to take the next leap. And so I sold the company in November of 2022, and then started a different journey.
I love that you said that, and I hope that people have heard the message. The early message already here is about it is okay to have different dreams and to pivot. And when you leave one dream to go to another, that doesn't mean that you didn't finish the other one or that you failed at the other one. I always say that I think life is too short to do one thing forever. And I know a lot of people have one career, they build it, they work, a lot of them in the same companies my father did forever, right? So I get that. It hasn't really been for me, but I think the journey of being able to do different things is what keeps it interesting. And you responded to what you really felt inside, like there's other ways I can express myself and help other people.
Yeah. If you think about it, if we look back to whenever we were growing up and we're like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
Listen, very likely, I'm going to go with usually a 9 out of 10. You're not what you wanted to be. Like I wanted to be a singer, and I can't sing worth anything. But I want to think about the years of your life and how much we grow and evolve, and not allowing yourself to stay stuck in an old vision, even though it was absolutely what I wanted to do. And I hit some milestones that I intended. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to not get stuck in your old vision or old dream, or it's also okay. Like if you think about your bucket list, hopefully everyone's doing their bucket list in life. But once you check off something, that doesn't mean that you should feel guilt and kind of, even that weirdness of going to the second thing. And so I say that, but I also went through a really interesting time of an identity crisis after selling. Like I was riding a high, but at the same point in time, not allowing myself to tap into the big win of accomplishment, because I realized it was the first time in my life that HR wasn't in my title. And which maybe sounds silly. At the same point in time, it's a part of your identity. I've been in HR for 20 years. My undergraduate degrees in HR, my master's degrees in HR, all my certifications. So I looked at it, I was like, wow, it still feels right. And this is a pivot, but I also needed to come to terms with what is this new thing that's forming inside of me, and how can I best serve my clients and also the highest good of everyone that I touch. And that's where really Jada Willis Consulting came to be. And I decided that CEO mentorship was really the right path, and that I'll always be HR. There's no, you can take the title out of my bio, but you can't take the HR out of me. That's for sure.
You can take the girl out of HR, but you can't take HR out of the girl.
That's right.
But HR, the term, let's talk about it, is human resources. And when you're talking about being a CEO mentor, they are the leader, the human leader of the organization, right? So that's where the work really flows down from, right? The culture and the spirit and the mission. So it's important work.
Well, if you think about it, what's the root? It's the human, it's the people, right? And that is at the core of who I am. I was people and HR before I even knew what the title was. It was just a natural gift. However, one of the books that I read was The Big Leap. And it was so life-changing for me. I loved the big leap because it really helped me look at what is my zone of genius? And I use this all the time with my clients now. And then what's the zone of excellence? And I really think the HR work from the consulting perspective of what I was doing was really my zone of excellence, right? I didn't need to, yes, I was lit up every once in a while, but I didn't need to try too hard. It was just as natural. So with CEO mentorship, it really is a unique combination. And let me say something before I go forward to really describing what CEO mentorship is. I also realized the last few years in running and owning Willis HR that I was actually providing CEO mentorship to our clients without charging for it. It was under the HR umbrella, right? So I would tell my clients, hey, if we hire an HR, this isn't technically their role. This isn't usually the skill set that an HR would have. So I really had to warn them. But CEO mentorship was born. And can I tell you what that is? Can I tell you?
Please do. Please do. Let's hear.
Well, for a little while, I didn't like being called a coach. But that's what everyone has a frame of reference for, is more like an executive coach. Well, then I didn't like being called a consultant because I was like, whoa, there's a lot of stigma attached to all of it. It is a mixture of that coach meets consultant meets HR business partner. And also, I hate to say it because it's rough for me to say, but even the life coach piece. When you mold all of these together, that's really what executive directors, CEOs, they need, because they're all operating on an island. The Harvard Business Review indicated that the CEO role is the loneliest job. And I want to be their person. You get that person from a partner perspective, hopefully, in your life, in your personal life. But it's really being the CEO's person and being hands-on. It's using and kind of pivoting in that moment of what do they need right now? Do they need the framework of guiding them through strategic planning and processing? Do they need that support and coach and accountability? Or is this a moment where they actually just need to vent and have some camaraderie to say, hey, I'm not insane. And now how do we work towards a solution-oriented mindset? So it is that holistic partner to the CEO. And that's why in my mind, it's totally different than a coach, just a consultant, and just an HR partner. You need all of those things to help guide the personal and professional success of a CEO.
And a couple of months ago, I came down to your office in South Carolina, and we spent about a day and a half, close to 2 full days, doing exactly what you just talked about, mapping out processes, me kind of exploding, spilling out all kinds of stuff, some junk, some great stuff. We celebrated things. We broke down processes. We got stuff we threw away. It was cathartic, and it was energetic, and it was productive, and it was the most fabulous 2 days. And not to mention, you're a hoot, and we had a ton of fun. So that was also fun. I mean, that was just incredible. But it's a very safe space being with you and being able to bring all of those pieces together. So there's nothing off the table in terms of this is the struggle, I'm working with it. And there's no boundaries that I've experienced with you in terms of if I have this problem or I have this concern. That's the beauty of that mentorship relationship, right? Is that it's a little bit life, but it's a little bit this, it's a little bit that. So anything I bring to you at any time that we talk, it's all within that scope of what we're working on. And is that how your other clients feel too, you think? Because that's how I know how I feel working with you.
Thank you for that. It's customized. I'll tell you that. And I'll tell you how folks really come to me and how we get started, because it is through our power sessions. But at the same point in time, I don't claim to be all-knowing and all-wisdom. I have a strong, really what I help with is from a business standpoint. I love sales and business development. I've been able to grow businesses and scale them, but simultaneously, obviously, HR and then leadership, right? Those are going to be the things. However, what I get excited about is also I have a strong network. And so whenever I need to tag in a chief financial officer or an employment attorney or whatever our partner needs to be, because that's not my skill set, I'll never claim to be, but we have such a strong network where I'm going to get you the resources that you need and the expertise. And guess what? They share my values for just responsiveness and caring about the person. And so I love the fact that I'm not the main wizard, right? Like, maybe the main wizard, but I have the other verticals to tag in. But usually clients are going to come from a place of, wow, that's like a big overarching, how do we know we want to work together? How do we know that you can help me solve my problems and it's a fit? It's usually through my power sessions. And so that's what you experience is it's anywhere from 2 hours to 2 days and intensive. And I make that decision through our discovery time together. And it's focused on either high stakes decision making, time multiplier. So those are really the thought processes. And if we need a business pivot. So you share your main problem. If you don't know it, I'm going to be able to pinpoint it through our conversations and through an assessment. And then I'm going to say, okay, let's start digging at the root so that we can lead into a power session. And then we build action plans from there of what do you really need help with? Sometimes it's in pivoting your business services. Sometimes it's in client retention and learning how do you operate as a owner in the business, but and also as a leader. And so there are multiple issues that come about. But I think that one of my favorites recently is the fact that I have been working with new CEOs and new enroll CEOs and executive directors. And it's like an all-encompassing action plan development plan that we build and work towards, but it's realizing that they have so much potential, but they need the formal structure to show up in their organization.
Have you seen, and I know you sold your business like after COVID was winding down, but you worked in HR, you worked with a lot of people for a long time, a lot of organizations.
Yeah.
Have you seen like an explosion in people starting their own businesses, like this whole new plethora of CEOs out there that are trying to find their ways? They know they don't want to go back to the old way of doing things. So there's a lot of that happening out there, right? I mean, people that need that type of support because everybody really wants to take it from being the business of one to really being their own boss, right? And doing that.
Oh my goodness. What an explosion. What an explosion. And it's really interesting that we're also seeing, and I think it's because of also, generational changes, but is that there is an exit in CEO roles as well. And so that means that there is an influx of new CEOs and new people in leadership. And so those two things have also led me to actually start the Grow Forward community. So we didn't plan that pivot. That was a really good segue. So I love CEO mentorship, but it's also just for the CEOs. But my heart knows that there are professionals working women, and I don't just work from a CEO mentorship piece. I work with men and women, but this specific group, the Grow Forward community, is just for working women. Because what I've seen over the course of 20 years in HR is that there is we go through a very unique experience being a woman in human form, but also being that professional, balancing all the hats that we wear and having to show up for ourselves and everyone else in our lives. And so what was happening is, and just to share something personal with me, is that I went through a divorce, and it was one of the hardest things that I've ever went through in life. But what I did, and this is the story of really what sparked Grow Forward, is that I did a group chat, and it was 4 friends that didn't know each other, and very, very different people. And I said, I want to pick the people that I feel safest with, that I know that I can fall apart and be messy with, and that know me, right? And so I put them together, and I told them they're my crisis crew. This is what I'm going through. And watching those women show up for me was one thing, but watching those bonds form and being able to watch how now, my friend from Boston that curses like a sailor, and then my other friend that's, and then my other friend that is basically in Christian ministry, how they're supporting each other's from a business perspective, from a prayer perspective, from a work perspective, and cheering for each other. And I went, oh my goodness. I looked at the HR piece. I looked at 20 years and all the women I interacted with. I looked at Crisis Crew, and I was like, we need our space. We need this group, and it needs to be those that really want to grow and better themselves, but also need that safe and easy, low pressure type of environment where you're okay being messy one day. And then guess what? You're okay being like this badass the next day, and your people are going to rally around you. So that was the essence and the start of the Grow Forward community that I launched in December. of 2023. And I can tell you, I'm wearing the shirt today because we have a packed out, sold out ladies lunch today. And it's amazing watching how these women are showing up for themselves and equally as excited to champion other women.
Yeah, and you do so many cool things. Yeah, because I know we talked about it, and even when I was down in your office, you had just the night before, you had like a bonfire. Women were there talking.
Yes.
We went out to dinner, and I was introduced to some of the ladies that are involved in the group as well. Can we just talk really quickly about the big retreat that you have going on?
Oh my goodness.
And I'm so desperately sorry I can't be it because I have my joint commitment that's always that same week. But go ahead and let's talk about that a little bit because this is incredible.
It's called, I'm so excited about it. It's called Ambition by the Sea, Courageous Clarity for Women. So it is in Seabrook Island, South Carolina. If your listeners have not visited Seabrook, it's right outside of Charleston and it's beautiful. So we actually have multiple lodging right on the ocean. So we have a beach in front, and then behind us are walking trails and the woods. And oh my goodness, once you just pull on this property, it's just like a whole new level. But anyway, so it really is a retreat that encompasses. I'd like to pack it from a Sunday to a Tuesday. So it's October 6th to October 8th. And it is a Sunday to a Tuesday. And I kind of did that on purpose is because sometimes we show up, we're gonna make sure we go to work, right? And so this is in place of that because there is learning. We are going through everything from your public speaking, your executive presence, and your voice. So focusing on your communication, how you're showing up personally, professionally, in really setting those boundaries, but then communicating. And then in addition to that, we have so many guest speakers. I want folks to go to growforwardcommunity.com, go to the retreat section because I want you to see our facilitators. They are some of the most well-rounded, just experts in their field and how they're able to relate and then bring that practicality, right? And so you can see all the programming. It is really an opportunity to rejuvenate, to rest, to pause, but also to learn. I can't stand going to something. I mean, I know, you definitely need that time where you're not even thinking about work and there will be those moments of fun. But I'm a very, very practical person. I'm a busy person. I want it to be a multi-purpose type of event. So we even have massages overlooking the ocean to hypno-reiki to how are you? Yes, it is truly a all-encompassing personal and professional development opportunity that is just for working women. And guess what? Here's the thing that I'm not even I don't have to plan for because it just happens from a last year's retreat is that connections will form. You don't know what kind of sparks will happen, whether it's a future business partner or someone that's going to connect you to 6 other clients or give you, that clarity or that pivot that you've been looking for. It's divinely inspired and it's going to be an amazing retreat. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see the women that show up for this.
I'm excited for you. I'm proud of you. Your energy and what you do for others, the passion that you have for everything comes through in everything you do. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you that the ladies that you introduced me to, they all share that. They share that about their businesses. They share that about each other. So I think that there's always that important thing about alignment. Not everybody's for everybody, but when you have that desire, and I'll tell you the other thing I have learned over time, the older I get, the more important my group of women friends, women support system becomes. Women have different issues. And gentlemen, if you're listening, doesn't mean your issues aren't important, but it is a whole different animal to be a woman. And particularly as you get a little bit older and the more you know about yourself. So having that support group of others that are really walking in that walk with you, it's critically important. And unless you've experienced have the experience of really feeling deeply that connection, you're missing out.
Yes. Can I tell you that also imposter syndrome does not discriminate on if you have the CEO title or the administrative assistant title.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome is absolutely real. And we are now able to talk about and let it be just a common conversation. But now, and this is where I'm really focused on providing the additional sessions that go forward. We've had speakers come in and just, again, we're working on imposter syndrome, self-confidence, worthiness. These are all things that we need to talk about in addition to the practical skills that you need, the leadership skills you need in your everyday professional life.
Yeah. And I'm going to be very transparent here that my issues, and I've got a successful business, and I've got that public business strategy. I've had other, I have this stuff. My problem isn't business strategy. My problem's in my head. It's always in my head. It's about worthiness. It's about imposter syndrome. I win awards. I do things. I hold big offices. And yet I still come home and go, why did anybody invite me there?
Right?
I was in an event the other day. Somebody invited me to this room with entrepreneurs, this big entrepreneurial organization. She goes, your business is ready to come into this accelerator program to really get the most out of it. And I sat there and I said to myself, I don't belong in this room. And then I caught myself, but we do this. So it's constant bringing that rubber band back, like the rubber band stretches out with the lack of confidence and imposter syndrome. And then we have to constantly bring it back. It's work in progress all the time, isn't it?
It's a practice.
Yeah.
It's a practice. And so this group it's not about curing you, and even go to therapy, but it's not about the cure. It's about how do you manage to the point where you can then get closer to feeling comfortable in your own skin, able to celebrate your wins and fully embody all the good and that you have and are, and then how you're showing up in the world. So it really is just guiding you to your best and highest self. At the same point in time, it is a continual practice. People perceive me as high energy, happy, confident. Those things are true. And also having, some days where I'm like, I can't believe people pay me for advice. Then other days I'm like, oh, you should, that's worth gold. That's like $1 million idea right there. So it's not black and white. It's this and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And it's absolutely true. And it's a practice. I'm going to kind of think about that word a lot, because that's what so much of all of our experiences and what we go through, and in life and in professional and careers too, and really trying to be our best selves. I love that. Can we talk a little bit about what you do in the community too? I know that you have a passion for, we talk about supporting nonprofits from the CEO mentorship, but you are also on the boards of some of these organizations, and you are putting your money where your mouth is, and you're supporting them. Can we talk a little bit about that, about Harvest Hope and a couple things that you do?
Absolutely. Before I do, it's something that it's placed apart right now to talk about, and it's about authenticity. I think that you got to be ready to also show up for yourself and try, or whatever that looks like, and the messiness of that. And also you have to be ready to find a group like Grow Forward or whomever your tribe is. You have to be ready, because you have to face the fact that I want to be authentic. I don't know how to be, but I need to keep showing up and trying. And so I just want to say, it doesn't mean that we show up and we are showing up perfect, or, there's a certain picture to this. Like, the goal is actually to show up as authentically as you can, and then keep showing up and trying. So I just wanted to put that caveat out there. And then in hearing you talk about the things I'm doing in the community, thinking about the retreat, my businesses, I'm like, this is where I do the time multiplier, okay? Because I truly believe that I do a lot, but also I focus on myself a lot too. And I focus on my family a lot. And there is that balance. And so how I do that is through really strategic time management strategies and non-negotiables and boundaries. But how I focus in the community is that I am the board chair for Harvest Hope Food Bank. So I did not grow up privileged by any means. We relied on food banks, and I know that my way to serve and give back is to the groups and organizations that, were similar to those that helped me in my childhood and my family. And so we are the largest food bank in South Carolina, and we're connected to Feeding America, which I do great work with them as well at the national level. And my focus is, honestly, I want no child or adult, but I specifically say child, to go to bed hungry. That is ridiculous in our society, in our country. And so that is my small fight to that. And then also just for the working poor, I really believe, and there are so many good groups. I do so much that's not listed in regards to homeless shelters and domestic violence. And I mean, there's so many good causes, but you just gotta pick your one or two that really speak to your heart and show up and serve in whatever way that looks like. And so some groups I just volunteer every so often, but others I'm on the board and I'm able to apply my skill set in a different way. So I'm on the board of trustees for Columbia College, and they're going, it used to be historically a women's college, and now honestly it's for the working poor. And so it's really promoting the education and overall holistic advancement of those in underserved communities. And in addition to that, I'm part of the board, a board member for ASA, Automotive Service Assistance, getting folks, usually the working poor, the help that they need in getting transportation. If you think about it, if you do not have transportation, then you can't show up to work, take your kids to daycare, or show up to even go to a food bank to get food. I mean, like, it is such a root issue that's going to impact so many other areas of your life. And so I would love to be on so many other boards and help in so many other ways. This is what I choose right now because this is what is important to the calling and how I show up.
Thank you. I love that. Calling do so much, right? And we do have to put our energy where, and for me, I talk very openly about supporting women, supporting single mothers, because that's where my passion is. That's where my experience is for my adult life. So it's important. People need different levels of support, and there's enough business, and there's enough business to go around for everybody, and there's enough causes to go around for everybody. So find out where it fits best with you.
Yeah.
For anybody who's looking to make a difference.
That's right. And you can make a difference in small ways and large ways. And I mean, even if it's $5 and you're contributing, like, everything matters. I know that every dollar counts, but also maybe that's just like a half day, or you can talk to your employer and say, hey, is there any way that we can add a volunteer day to our overall employee handbook and PTO policy? I mean, like, there's so many ways in which you can get outside yourself and serve others. And I believe that that's the key to life and ultimately happiness, is taking care of ourselves so that we can better those around us. So that's very important. But if I was listening to this and I'm thinking about our ladies' lunch and hearing about all the things we're talking about, all the big things, Jenny, you are so successful and you're so talented. And here's the deal, though. People may listen to this and be like, oh, I feel so much pressure. And I think that pressure is good, but we can't let it also be paralyzing.
Right.
So don't let the pressure be paralyzing, because we can only our goal is to show up the best we can in that moment and in that day. And it's focusing on, hey, what are our strengths and how can we show up for ourselves? But then how can we make a difference in our careers? And then from there, it's like one small step at a time. I just want to make sure that in everyone hearing the things that we've done, our awards, our accomplishments, like, we're racehorses.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's seasons to this, though.
Yeah, there are seasons to it. And I want to call out something important here, because I know we're running out of time, but I want people to hear something else too. I want to hear how we met. And this is important because this is an everyday activity. And you can see now that Jada and I have a lot of respect for each other. Our resources run deep, and we've gotten to an entirely different level. But we met because Jada reached out to me on LinkedIn a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Complete cold call to me to ask me to be a guest on her podcast of Willis HR podcast, HR After Dark, right?
Yes.
I remember.
Yeah.
And she asked me because I have an HR background. I was an HR leader for 18 years. So she invited me. From there, it was nurturing the relationship. Not talking for a while, coming back, but not talking, but I mean, if the ebb and flow of building a relationship, right? And getting to know each other and starting to take the relationship off of the thread of the conversation and move it into more. So anybody that works with me knows I talk all the time about LinkedIn, and it's not about amassing the numbers. It's about building relationships. And I'm really proud of the relationship that we have built from this amazing tool. And that doesn't mean that you make friends with everybody, and it doesn't mean that you become close to everyone, and it doesn't mean you have to answer every single person that reaches out for anything. But for us, it has clicked, and it's an important thing to understand that these relationships don't fall out of the sky. They're built, and oftentimes they are divinely created. And podcasts are put in a line. So I just encourage everybody to say, take some of these relationships offline, talk to people deeper. It's not about vanity numbers. It really is about your tribe. Your people are probably right in front of you. It's just a matter of taking a deeper dive and understanding who that is and trying to find the people that you relate to best. And I'm so very grateful that we have found that connection.
Oh, I'm so grateful. I remember that podcast episode and I was like, it's this person. I was blown away. I was a little intimidated, actually. I was like, oh crap, I got to get my stuff together. Like, because, you were so talented and so impressive and, all the things. But also there's this humility about you and approachability. And so I was like, I usually, even when I get intimidated or scared, I like to run to that person because I'm eager to find out more. And I like to surround myself with really smart, talented people. So that's where I wanted us to stay connected and build that relationship. But I mean, just imagine, it started with LinkedIn and then you flew from New York to South Carolina.
Yeah.
That was the first time we met. Spent 2+ days together.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's crazy. And you picked me up at the airport and you go, I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you got on a plane to come somebody you haven't seen. And I'm not suggesting everybody hops on a plane, right? But what you do is you build that relationship and then you figure out when it's right, if it's right, how that works. And we had enough equity in our relationship at that point. And then from there too, and I appreciate what you say about, my confidence and my expertise, but we've also gotten to the point where I'm very comfortable, and hear me out, folks, as I say, I throw up all over you. Like, I'm very comfortable being very vulnerable, telling you like, yes, this is how I am, but some days I'm a mess. And I share that very openly with you because we all go through that. Right. And again, back to the safe place. So that's the kind of relationship that's important, where you can feel like you can be vulnerable. You can share that stuff. It's not all coming with with our big suits and our stuff and going, oh, we're all on top of our game. No, it's when we sit down and talk and go, oh my God, I'm a mess. I'm a hot mess. And let's go to Starbucks and talk about it.
A long time ago, someone told me, listen, I was like, I'm just a hot mess. And they're like, hot mess is not a permanent state. So sometimes I'm a good mess, crazy mess. It's not a permanent state, but that's okay. We're fluid.
We are fluid. And some days we're a little bit of everything. So we got to tie this up. But I just want everybody to get the message here that gifts like Jada, gifts like communities, gifts like other people in your network come. You got to be open to it. You have to be ready for it. You have to be willing to share yourself to have those type of relationships develop. And when you feel you need help, reach out, but build that community. I think if the pandemic taught us nothing, it was really about how valuable communities are. And there is one for everybody. And the Grow Forward community is an incredible one that you've built in Columbia, South Carolina. Congratulations. The ladies are killing it. And you've just built this beautiful way for these women to come together and to be their best selves. And I'm so grateful that you came here today to share with our audience about your career journey, how you help CEOs as a CEO mentor, and really pulling back the curtain a little bit and saying, pivots are good. Being a hot mess is good. It's all good. We just got to figure it all out.
Yeah. And don't stay there. So that's the key. Don't stay there. But I also want to clarify something. So right now we've expanded. And so, our base, I would say our headquarters is in Columbia, South Carolina, but we have an online community. We have an app. We do virtual sessions as well. And so if we get a certain amount of members, it's really just 5 in one general area. We do pop-up events in person as well. So I'm not just looking at taking care of South Carolinian women. I really believe that this is across the U.S.
Like in Virginia, maybe?
I mean,
like who's moving to Virginia in a few months? Like me. And maybe that's something we talk about. Because now I'll be much closer to you too. All right, we'll have to take that offline. I'm gonna include the link here for Jada's community so that everybody can take a look at it. Download the app, take a look. It's really very cool and very expansive. So maybe that is something other partnership.
I love it. I love it. And then how folks can otherwise contact me is jadawillis.com. Look at the retreat, look at the work with me page, or just know my story. Get to know my story. I'm really vulnerable in my website as well. And then also visiting growforwardcommunity.com. And there's a lot of good information there too.
We're dropping all of Jada's socials, all of her links here. So you don't have to write that down. You can come right under the video. You can come right under wherever you see this posted. And if you'd like a personal introduction to her, if you'd like a warm one, I am happy to introduce you to her as well. So thank you, Jada Willis of Jada Willis Consulting, for joining us today. Thank you, my dear friend, my CEO mentor, and thank you for everything that you do for women and for the community. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
And for everyone listening today, make sure that you subscribe to our channel, ring the bell so you're notified when we drop more great episodes. And until we all meet again with more great career information, live inspired.